I want to take a break from all the talk about genres just for a single video, maybe two, let's see, and talk about something else. And I was thinking I'd talk about the Toolmaker thing that I briefly mentioned in a video ages ago, maybe almost a week ago, maybe even more. It seems like ages ago. Because I've gotten my hardware more or less in line and online and at line and byline and offline and the whole thing. I've gotten my hardware set up more or less, and I've started messing around with some of the reconstruction issues after the whole reset thing. And right now it's the files that I can show off, 3D modeling and that kind of stuff, that I'm focused on. But, and more buts. Um, it's getting to be the time where I should take a look at the Toolmaker thing. The 3D models I'm doing are essentially part of the Toolmaker thing, but they're more assets than tools. They're more the nails than they are the hammer. And the hammer, this in this case, is a system that I've been working on and off, for over a decade. But I never really found the way to do it until about a year or two ago, I think. And what it is a system for very rapidly putting together all the basics for making long form animation content, meaning animations that reach beyond the 15 to 20 minute size that is usually considered short form, or at least medium form. I'd say short form. Short to medium form. It's the kind of stuff that you need if you want to put together an actual movie length movie, when you don't have a team of hundreds, because animation today is ironically a lot more complicated than it was a few decades ago. I'm not going to get into that, but I will say that a lot of inspiration comes from an expression that has bugged me for practically my entire life. And in one form or another, the core of this expression is that creation is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration, meaning that the ideas are a very small part of it. The rest is just a whole lot of hard work. But if that's the case, why don't we make tools so that we make the perspiration, i.e., the hard work, much less hard? And we do that. We do that. We do all the time. Animation tools today are unbelievable. But for every step forward in making them more easy to use, there seems to be a step backwards when become more advanced. Every feature added seems to push back against the ease of use. So now maybe you can do 1,000 things that you couldn't do 2 decades ago with just your average personal computer, but you also need to know how to do 1,000 things more, and you need to do them. And that's where it becomes complicated. And it's that complication that I want to remove. I want to make everything a whole lot easier so that the inspiration part becomes more than the 1%. I'd like it to be possible 50-50. Half inspiration, half hard work. So what I'm doing is I am creating a system where you can snap things into place rather than having to create a whole bunch of files. This is hard to explain without first explaining how you do 3D animation, at least the basics. And the basics are that you drag in a lot of files and put them together, and someone needs to make those files first of all. You drag those files in, you make variations of them, and you put them together. And all of that takes time, but most of that time is just a matter of pushing the same buttons over and over again, which is why we have automation. We have script languages and we have automation tools. Script languages are simplified ways to write a program that does the work for you. And it's harder to write a script than it is to just do something. But once you have the script, you can just have the script do the work for you over and over again. But for some reason, this is not getting the amount of focus that I feel it should. One thing that is not movie related, but kind of carries the same concept, is from back in the day when Minecraft was really a playground for people making what's known as mods. They changed the programming of the game because someone figured out how to get access to it and make that much easier. So people started to change it and change the game and add things. For those who don't know it, Minecraft is a game where you go out and you collect resources and you build things and you get better tools and you collect more resources and you fight enemies and stuff like that. And people started creating new tools and new resources for players in the game to find, which I thought was cool. They also started creating new kinds of places and new kinds of enemies, but it was all very work intensive. And then someone came along and created a work tool for Minecraft that made it far easier to add new resources or add new kinds of places or add new enemies. It became something that anyone could do, and people got very angry at them. And I never understood that. But it appears that people who do these things do not like when things are being made easier. I don't think it's that bad with the tools I use now. The people who use these tools seem to be more rational, more sensible than the people I ran into back then on the whole Minecraft thing. By the way, I wasn't the one who made the tool that everyone got angry at. I just watched the whole thing unfold. But even though people don't seem as, I don't know if angry is the right word, but displeased about tools that make things easier to do, it doesn't seem to grab the same kind of interest. It doesn't have the same kind of flash, same kind of pizzazz as adding a whole new feature, or as using those features already in the hard way to create something fascinating. Automation just doesn't seem to be cool. And I disagree with that. I think automation is the coolest thing ever because it gives people more tools. It opens the gates for what anyone can do. And maybe it's that people just don't like their skills running into competition from people who never earned the same kind of skills. They just it's basically playing on easy mode. I'm trying to create a way to play the game on easy mode. The game just happens to be creating movies and stories and stuff like that. And that just easy mode just seems to be offensive against people who have learned how to play it the hard way. Like a lot of computer games nowadays. If you're not good at them, people just get angry that someone wants an easier version of it. And I kind of get it, at least for games, but it's also kind of stupid. You're just gatekeeping, you're just trying to keep people out because you went through it the hard way. You want others to go through it the hard way too. You want others to earn their way to your level or whatever you want to call it. And that's just dumb because to me, the point is to get more people to experience what you have already experienced, to have more people participating. But there is this kind of good old boys club where it's only the ones who are already in and the ones who really, really prove themselves that are quote unquote allowed to achieve anything. You're not allowed to achieve anything with better tools. That's considered cheating. But that just means that fewer people are going to be part of the experience. And I kind of see both arguments for it. If you've worked hard for something, it's a bummer to see someone achieve the same thing without the same hard work. You feel cheated that you had to go through it. But come on, let's grow up. Let's face the fact that we want more people to be part of what we do. And we only get that if we make it easier for them to get in. You don't get more guests by throwing people out. Well, I guess if you want asshole guests who enjoy feeling better than others, then you do get more guests by throwing people out. But those are not the kinds of guests I want. Those are not the kind of people I want to share my work with. I want to share my work with creative people. And that means creating tools to help people be more creative. And to get back to the actual practical thing I'm doing, it's basically just all the boring tasks. It's not AI. It's not some clever movie generation. I don't have to do anything other than sit back and press the make random movie button. That's not it. It's just a way to get the boring things done quicker. You line up your movie as a bunch of instructions, then you press a button and you get all the files with all the content you need, and you can make the changes that you need to make to create your movie. Most things are completely repetitive. All that all that creation is kind of twisting it around a bit, tweaking it here and there. You make a person look different, a character, I guess. You make a character look different and behave a little different. You make a story take place in a different location, maybe a different country, maybe a different city, maybe a different time, culture. You tweak things around, and if you tweak them enough, then the greater picture becomes something completely different. Most movies are based on fairly straightforward concepts of what a story is supposed to be, to the point that movies these days actually make fun of that, or at least bring it up. Oh, We're in a strange world. Isn't there supposed to be a kindly old hermit here to guide us along? Nope. Instead, you get some smart ass kid who's really annoying, but who is your guide, and you have to just live with that. You're used to having your Obi-Wan or Gandalf or whatever to tell you about the strange world you're entering. But now you get Aaron the asshole, 14 years old and full of quipping because he's seen too many Marvel movies. And all these little tweaks and twists end up creating something new. So when you do make a movie, when you make an animation movie, you always have to pick things that you want to include in your movie, and then you have to do a lot of work to put them into different computer files so that you can make the scenes and stuff. But all that work, putting it in here and there, a computer can do that. It's not creative. It's just busy work. So why not let a computer do that? You want your character to grab a gun on the table? Just have something, have the instructions for how a character should grab something on a piece of furniture and tell it to do that. Tell it to use that whenever a character is grabbing something. You want a character to run and jump? That's nothing original. That's a small piece of code that you can get from anywhere. You just make it once and you can use it again and again and again. But you need something to put it together. You need something to do all the technical gobbledygook for you, all the stuff that isn't creative at all. And those tools just aren't that popular to make because I guess they don't have the cool factor that I feel they do. So I guess I'll make them. I'll try at least. I'll try to make them, and then I'll try to use them, and then I'll try to create something with it. This was not as focused and concrete as I had hoped it would be, but it gives a kind of fuzzy picture of where my mind is at the moment. And I'll try to get back to the genres soon enough. Oh, and this Toolmaker stuff, just because I'm talking about doing it for movies doesn't mean that it's just for movies. I want to make tools for creating games and for writing stories and all that kind of jazz too. But one thing at a time. One thing at a time.